I brought the bumper to the foundry where I have the plasma torch. I got it welded in places where I can't get to, like right here. I can't get to that with a grinder. So I'm gonna try to wash that off with the plasma torch and get this and the 3 struts separated from this, which was the back of the original trailer. And then got to try to straighten out that little hickey. Somebody had a oops at some point. I don't often see welds that look worse than mine. Sure is a pleasure to know I'm not the worst welder out there. These are pretty bad. Bumper is free from the other piece of steel. Wasn't bad. And I got it in the big boy vise, and I'm gonna put the torch on it. It's got a big old bend in here, so I'm gonna start heating it here and try to get it down a little bit, and then here, and see if we can't get it better looking. And I got my big boy hammer right here, so we're gonna see what we can do. So you can see here that the the burnt paint spot to the left of the strut, I've already got it fairly straight, and now I'm working on the right side, where the worst of the bend is. I'm using an oxygen acetylene torch. I'm using a cutting torch because that's all I have. A rosebud would do better. It's more of a burns more fuel and it spreads the flame out a little bit. This cutting torch is designed to have the heat all in one little spot, but it still works. It just takes a little longer and a little more moving around. If you get it hot enough, it'll bend, and it ended up coming out pretty good. It's pretty straight. With some paint on it, I don't think anybody would ever notice. Pretty straight, man, pretty straight. So it's Monday, and I'm starting my first day of the second week of trailer modifications, and this will be the last week because I don't have that much left to do. So first thing I'm gonna do is weld these little plates vertically to the center of the axles, and that's so I can run a brace to the top here, both sides, and do both axles. Now these axles have rubber in them, but the rubber is in this point, and there's a point on the bottom. There's no rubber here. So I think if I weld a little bit, get away from it, and weld a little bit, get away from it, I don't think I will overheat anything. And then earlier in the week, or I guess, no, last week, I made these little plugs to plug this hole where the tongue was going to bolt, because I was going to reuse the original tongue, which just bolted. I was just going to move it back, but I'm over that. We're going with a more manly version. We're going with this plate. I'm going to weld it top and bottom, and that's what the new tongue's going to tie into. And I left a little flange here so I can do some crisscross braces here. And then back we'll put one more set of crisscross braces, and that should stabilize it from the I-beam flexing side to side. And I got the bumper ready to go on. That'll be the last thing today. And I'm not crazy about this right here. I have this much weld on 3 sides, which is keeping the trailer from breaking in half, because this beam, this tube, and this tube, they don't go through. Now I do have a bunch of weld on this axle flange on the other side. None of it probably X-rayable. So I'm gonna brace this up. I'm gonna put another piece of steel here, there, in 4 places. So that's just for my peace of mind. Good progress this morning. I got my manly plates welded in, and this is to hold the I don't know what this thing's called. It's the A-frame that holds the coupler. Anyway, the back ends will be welded there. I got crisscross braces here to give it some rigidity. I added little cross braces on both axle for more rigidity to reduce the flex. And I have my angles back here ready to weld for the next crisscross. I don't have any more angle at home. I think I might have some at the foundry. So it'll be another crisscross here. I got the bumper jacked up into place and clamped, and I got the holes marked with a Sharpie. And I think I'm gonna bolt this thing on instead of welding it. And I was thinking I would never use the drawbar. However, if the thing gets stuck in the mud and needs to be pulled backwards, you know, this is exactly where it'll be hooked up to pull. So I got this 1.5 by 1.5 left over from Steve's trailer. I'm gonna put 2 diagonals. They kind of like the ones they had before, except these will be a lot better. So if we do need to pull on it, it'll spread the load between the rear frame and the side frames a little better. Yeah, we're rolling. I got the wells on the interior kind of knocked back with the grinder. Some of them got touched up a little bit. I'm gonna touch up the wells on the outside with the grinder and try to get a little paint on them all, because tomorrow the weather's supposed to be terrible. So good stuff so far today. So my diagonal braces on the back, I wanted to run to the bottom tube because I didn't have the bottom tube and the top tube really tied together. Thought this would help, which makes it a really funky angle. And I did not get it right the first time, or the second time, or third time. I think around the fourth time I was getting pretty close. But anyway, I got them in there. And this stuff is 1/4 inch wall, so it's real strong. So a good addition to the trailer. Wouldn't you know it, I got 5 more little wells to completely weld out everything except for the tongue. And I'm out of wire. Oh well. I'm gonna go ahead and grind all the welds around the exterior and slap some paint on them. I don't think it'll be the best protection in the world, but it'd be better than nothing. So this rusty square tube is about to become 40 little right angle clips to weld the short leg to the top of the 2x2, and then this will stick straight up, and I'll bolt my floor joists to these. I'm trying to figure out order of operation here. I think I'll do the long cut first. I'm gonna use the plasma torch, and then I guess do all the little holes, and then do the cross. I don't know which. I'm not sure what's the most efficient way to cut this thing up. I don't want to be trying to hold all these little bitty pieces and using the plasma torch. So I think I'll do one quadrant at a time. I'm gonna start cutting. Cut the drops, or I cut the corners off of the drops, and I got me 2 pretty good clips. That's pretty substantial. I'm gonna bolt these to the frame, and I'm gonna weld the outriggers to these. This will be our bathroom addition. This is my first bathroom outrigger bracket it's installed, and I got some square-headed bolts and square-headed nuts. How old are those, huh? Anyway, I will weld the nuts to the frame so that they can't fall off, because they will be embedded with foam later on. We'll be able to unscrew from this side, and I do have a 12-point socket that'll fit those square-headed bolts, because it's going to be kind of tight, but I think we'll be able to get to them. Won't be that big a deal. Ready to put the other one on, start the torch. The framing square and a long straight edge and a bunch of aggravation. I got the first lookout welded. It's level with the deck, and it is at a right angle to the frame, and I'm starting to weld it just to the clip, not the frame, because it will be removable. So now I need to do the same thing for this other one. And I took my last length of the tube that I bought, this very expensive tube, and I welded it in the end. So now I probably should weld something across here when it's not hooked up to the trailer frame, so it doesn't distort. And then I think I probably will never have to move the welding machine back here again, because it's kind of a pain. So I'm gonna put something across the bottom here. So this should be my new coupler, and it would have come last week if I would have actually ordered it. But just because you go to the website and click on it and put it in your shopping cart doesn't mean they're going to send it to you. You have to purchase it. So I finally figured out what was going on, hit the purchase button, and here it is. 2 days later, I got it. Nothing fancy, just painted steel. But this is going to be one step stronger than what was on there originally. Apparently I didn't order the right hitch. The angle doesn't seem right. This is where I want it. It's from here to the front of the camper, or the trailer, is 4'7", which is kind of recommended. I've been reading on the internet. It's more than twice. So if I take the width of my pickup truck and divide it by 2 and add a few inches, I'm good there. So that's where I want it. It just doesn't fit right. But I'm gonna have to weld some kind of gusset or something to the bottom. But we're gonna move forward. This is where it's gonna go. I need to mark these cuts. Yeah, we got to cut this like here, parallel to this plate. This is where it's going to mount, and you got to do the other one the same way. So my hitch, if I put it together just like this, is 22 inches off the ground. Standard is 17, so I'm pretty high. I can get it lower by raising where it's welded to the back. I don't think I can get it all the way 17, but my son has an adjustable hitch on his truck, so it's okay. Let's pick it up a little bit and see what we can do. Because if I go up with the back, the front's got to go down. Going to go down. So I've raised the back enough to get 20 inches under the coupler. I'm good with that. My son has a four-wheel drive. Actually, both of my sons have four-wheel drive trucks that sit way higher than mine, so I'll let them do the honors. And it's taken me, I don't know, maybe an hour to get this thing straight, to get the dimensions from here to the front equal, to get the cut fit right, get the dimensions here and here equal. And I don't want to lose that, but I want to turn it over to weld the coupler. So I think I'm going to get some scrap and weld some crisscrosses or whatever I have to do, so I can drop it and it'll stay in this shape. And then I can weld the coupler and then flip it back over, put it back in the spot. I gotta take it off because I gotta grind my weld points. I gotta grind the bottom of this C-channel because it's got that coal tar epoxy on it. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. Put some temporary braces on it, and hope it doesn't come apart when I lower it, because man, it took forever to get it this far. Well, I have 3 cross braces welded to it, and it's sturdy, but it's not unbreakable. If I were to drop it, I believe these welds would break, so I'm kind of trying to be careful. And it's heavy, but it's not crazy heavy. It's just crazy awkward.
And right when I started, I realized it wasn't going to be simple. I couldn't just come out the front because it's too wide. I had to come out the side. So I got it out, got it up on top so I could work on it without working on the ground, and flipped it over, and life is good. It worked out okay.
First thing I need to do is cut almost an inch off of this side because it's too long. And I did that, checked that by doing the square and also measuring from the cut. So pretty confident that it's too long. This would be a good spot for my big grinder, but I don't have it. All my edges and touch spots are ground ready for weld. I got the coupler up here and I got the paint ground on it. What I'm gonna do is weld everything I can weld, and then when I put it right side up, I'm gonna drill it and bolt it also. So this thing could go back on in just a little bit. Some of my better welds ever. Of course, this is kind of an important spot. Back in place, right side up. All my dimensions checked, and I checked from this corner to this bolt hole and to that one, and they're exactly, and the rest of them are within about 1/8 of an inch. So I don't think I'm gonna get much better. I'm gonna go ahead and put some weld on this thing. Should have all the paint removed. Should be able to get some good welds. I am getting close to the end of this welding stuff. I got my clips on this side and on the bathroom wing all welded. They just need to be grinded a little, which is all I'm gonna do, is a little. Put a little paint on them. The other side, I'm short 5 clips. I gotta run back and make some more. Stand them up and weld them. I really don't mind welding if it's like on a bench, but when you're messing with all this rust and galvanizing and coal tar paint and climbing in and under, it's like work. It's a job, and I'll be glad when I'm through. I still have little odds and ends to weld, but not like hours at a time like I've been doing.
So the trailer hitch is obviously a very important piece of the structure there, and I have it welded. I think I have some good welds on it. The welds are in tension, and I don't know, it just makes me nervous. If a crack were to form, you wouldn't see it. So I drilled for 4 grade 8 fine thread bolts to bolt this thing together. So either the welds would hold it, or I think the bolts would hold it. And now I have both, and it just makes me warm and fuzzy feeling. And by the way, I wish drills came with old-fashioned chucks with a key in them. I've got like 5 drills. All of them have the keyless chuck, and all of them don't hold bits worth a darn. So you almost have to buy bits with a 6-sided shank on them to even use these things. Frustrating.
This little brace came with the original trailer tongue, and it fits perfectly in the new trailer tongue. So I'm gonna put it in here. I don't need to clamp it. It just stays by itself. So I'm gonna get the welding machine. I got this to weld, and I got the 2 clips in place that hold up the last floor joist on the addition, and we'll get those welded, and then we can put a band around this and start nailing those stupid strips. Good Lord, they take forever.
So now that the trailer width is established, I can trim off the ends of the front and back frame members and quit hitting my leg on them. I had to get the big grinder because I can't get to it from both sides. I can only get to it from one side. Big grinder made pretty quick work of it. You got to keep those sparks away from your leg though. This thing throws out a tremendous amount of heat. Then I got one of the little grinders with the flap discs and kind of rounded off all the edges, and then I used the last of the black paint that I had and put a coat on all this exposed steel. And I think I need to wrap this video up. I think I'm through. I think I'm through with the frame modifications. I still have some work on the hubs and the brakes that will come sometime. They're not holding anything up, so I don't know exactly when I'll get to those. And I'm running a special this week for subscribers. If you subscribe, it costs nothing. No fees this week. It's a special deal. So if you've been watching, how about subscribing and help me out? Thanks. Okay, and to wrap up this week's video, this is the two plates that I cut at the foundry out of that heavy steel. It's a 1/4 inch thick. And this ties the cross member and the bottom tube together. So now the top tube, the front piece, and the bottom tube all connect together, one big happy family. So the hitch picks up on this front piece, the front piece picks up on the side rails. Everything's copacetic. Then I had my concerns about the strength of the side frame because this big thing was cut out of it, so I put an angle and welded it all 4 places. And then I also put this, I guess, I don't know what you call it, gusset, a thickener, 4 places. So I'm happy. The frames is plenty strong enough. And as you can see, we're starting on the floor. That'd be next week's video.